Hey, JulesBlessedVegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So we've been doing Self-Care September. And if you're just joining us, you are right on time. There is never a better time than now than to choose self-care. And we're only halfway through September. So whether it's September, whether it's the 17th, it doesn't matter. You can just find 30 days of wonderful to help you better your self-care, because you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? It's imperative that you care for yourself while lending yourself to others. So today was the 17th, and it was leave positive messages for yourself to see regularly. I was no better about that today than yesterday. The difference is I opened my eyes and actually was able to see what seemingly had melted into the walls. Like, there are positive messages all around this place, but I just saw them so often I never saw them anymore. You know what I mean? Excuse me, I became blinded to them. So with the intention of looking for positive messages, I'm seeing that they're all around me. So for instance, right in front of me is a beautiful mat that says blessed in a really pretty font, and indeed I am. To the right of me, I actually have a letter from my husband that was at Christmas, and if you don't know, my husband is like literally Santa Claus, and it's this beautiful Christmas letter that he wrote for me, and I felt the desire to post it. On this wall right here, there's another placard that says love is all you need, right? And then there's another one from my husband that says, when I count my blessings, I count you twice. Are you kidding me? So I totally have like messages all around me, and that's just within 4 feet of where I am right now. So you want to leave some positive messages for yourself, but you actually want to see them. You know, sometimes I find it so refreshing to rearrange a room because things seem new. I'm seemingly seeing them for the first time, even though I've had them for years. Well, it's the same thing with those positive messages. They were everywhere and they just became so normal I didn't see them anymore. I'm happy to see them again. Okay, so for tomorrow, day 18, it says, don't compare how you feel inside to how others appear outside. Now remember, just because someone has their face on, it doesn't mean that they're not completely broken inside, you know? So we really just have to, again, love people where they are and reflect on who we are for us, for our own personal growth. So don't compare how you're feeling on the inside, if you're feeling insecure, if you're, you know, sad, depressed, upset, or whatever, to how others appear on the outside. They may be completely just, they may have a smile on their face. It doesn't mean it's their inner truth. So prayers all around on that, and that is an absolutely good goal. Yesterday I told you guys that I would be talking about taste buds, and I found a fantastic article, because that's what I always say, right? From Experience Life, and of course I'll include it in the description of the video. But I wanted to go ahead and share this, just like a spoiler alert, there is real food. They do mention several real foods, but let's stay focused on the growth that takes place in terms of the taste buds, because that's a really big thing when you're going from the standard American diet, certainly, to plant-based vegan, let alone raw vegan. So I think it's a worthy article that I would love to share. It says, take back your taste buds. Highly flavored processed foods have hijacked our sense of taste, driving unhealthy cravings and sabotaging our health for far too long. It's time to reclaim our palates. Melanie Swanson loved pizza and hot dogs ever since she was a kid. Green leafy veggies, salmon and quinoa, not so much. Like many people, she grew up on processed fare. Healthy foods just didn't taste as good to Swanson. She craved potato chips, mac and cheese, and soda, even though she knew they weren't good for her. So when a friend asked her to team up for a month-long detox last spring, the 30-year-old photographer decided to go all in. For 30 days, she eliminated all processed foods and ate vegetables, lean meats, seafood, eggs, and certain fruits, plus plenty of healthy fats. As the weeks passed, something unexpected happened. She started noticing the flavors of these real whole foods. I discovered sweet potatoes, which I had always avoided because of their texture, Swanson said. Suddenly, I was eating baked potatoes 3 days a week, and they tasted great. She even began eating fish, which she had long avoided. She found herself appreciating the simple pleasure of a mixed green salad dressed with homemade vinaigrette instead of her usual dose of store-bought ranch dressing. Who can relate? I mean, especially if you are in the Tanny Raw Reset, you certainly have learned how to make your own dressings, and they only become more phenomenal as your taste buds become less corrupted. Like, honestly, amazing. And after a month of healthier eating, something else caught her by surprise. Some of the processed foods she used to love just didn't taste nearly as good. I had a box of Girl Scout cookies around the house, so I decided to treat myself. She says that Samoa was so sweet, really overly sweet. Swanson's experience of a newly awakened palate is not unique. It's never too late to get your taste buds back on the right track, says Rebecca Kantz, director of the Healing Kitchens Institute of Commonwealth and author of the Healthy Mind Cookbook. We're born with an inherent ability to taste real food on a deep level. The good news, Kat says, is that no amount of processed foods will permanently alter that. Yay, God. And once your palate is back on track, it will steadily guide you toward healthier and tastier choices. Kind of reminds me of the, don't tell me, the Matrix, and I've brought that up many times, but I just remember when Neo was there and they were just eating like this slimy gunk, which was just like a horrific morning paste, and he was like, oh, where's the food? And they were like, this has everything you need. This is the food. Like, the rest is nonsense. Eat this and you'll be handled. Well, so often, of course, we eat to eat and not because we actually want to nourish our bodies, right? Yeah. So eating to live instead of living to eat, of course, is the goal. So anyway, it'll guide you to taste your choices. And I think that's what was happening. How in the heck did I eat a bunch of greens with cantaloupe and survive? Not only to tell about it, but actually enjoy it. Okay, so this is the biology of taste. Get a mirror, stick out your tongue, and say hello to your taste buds, all 10,000 of them. Those small bumps on your tongue, roof of your mouth, and throat are called papillae, and each of them is home to up to 700 taste buds. Now, I've done a talk before on taste buds, and I don't know if it was this article. I mean, it was probably 2 years ago. It may have been, but who I am today and my perspective or take on it, of course, has changed. So forgive me if you're like, Jules, you did that, 618 days ago. And plus, honey, I'm much older than I was the first time I visited this article, dear, right? And each tiny taste bud contains about 50 to 80 specialized taste receptor cells. God is so clever. When a taste receptor recognizes a flavor, sweet, salty, sour, bitter, or umami, which means savory, it sets off a biochemical reaction called transduction, translating chemical information from the taste stimulus into an electrical message that travels through the cranial nerves to the gustatory cortex of your brain. Say that 10 times. Oh my gosh. Taste buds help set your body's metabolic machine in motion, as does your sense of smell. It was so interesting. I did like a morning talk with my kids, and it was on senses. And I said, which one would you give up if you had to give up one? And bar none, almost every single one of them said smell, with no understanding that the smell is what indicates whether something is worthy of tasting, let alone warns you when there's poison or danger in the air. Certainly me, but I'm hypersensitive. It was just interesting. They all gave up smell so readily. Chewing releases molecules from food at the back of your throat up into your retronasal passage, sending signals to your brain's olfactory cortex. Sorry, people. These are words I haven't used in a long time, if ever. Okay, based on the messages it receives, your brain cues digestion, sending signals via the vagus nerve and triggering what is known as the cephalic phase response. Seriously? I should have made sure I had less of a difficult day before I read this article. My school actually got evacuated from the fires and the surrounding area, and I'm praying for all my families out there. Okay, let's do this. We can do this. Take a tiny taste of barbecue sauce before the picnic even begins, and your brain is already releasing insulin and directing your digestive tract to secrete as much as 40% of the hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes you'll need to process the food you're about to have. So like when you sneak a bite, you've already put everything in motion for the nonsense. In addition to kicking off the digestive process, your sense of taste serves as a security system of sorts for your body. More DNA is dedicated to the sophisticated flavor sensing equipment in your mouth, throat, and nose than to any other bodily system. Let's say that again. More DNA, so the makeup of your entire body, is dedicated to the sophisticated flavor sensing equipment in your mouth, throat, and nose, because people don't realize your nose can taste, but I think they're going to touch on that, than to any other bodily system, including your brain and eyes. Wow. Okay. This makes sense when you consider that our earliest ancestors wouldn't have survived long if they weren't able to avoid foods that could harm them and identify foods that met their nutritional needs. It's thought that we were genetically programmed to be weary of bitter-tasting foods, for instance, because bitterness can be an indicator of plants that are poisonous. And of course, as raw vegans, we actually choose to eat bitter greens, but luckily many have gone before us to inform us which ones are safe. Natural survivor instincts also prompt us to seek out foods that are salty because our bodies require sodium to support nerve and muscle operation. In addition, we're hardwired to seek out calories for energy and fats, which support brain functioning. Taste buds led astray. What served us well on the savannah is sabotaging many of us today. The biological mechanisms that are supposed to steer us towards healthy choices have been thrown off course by a mind-boggling array of synthetically flavored processed foods, of which some refer to as toys or food-like products. Am I right? Let's read that again. The biological mechanisms that are supposed to steer us towards healthy choices have been thrown off course by a mind-boggling array of synthetically flavored processed foods. And they even reference an article called The Dorito Effect. It's probably one of those MRI machines. Okay. We used to get flavor in our food from plants and animals, and now we get it in factories. So true. Trying to satisfy our inherent cravings for sugars, fats, and sodiums with hypo-flavored convenience food fails to meet our health and nutrition needs and actually makes us crave even more processed foods, which is like the irony of all time, right? That's because the novelty of amped up flavors appeals to us more than eating the same old foods every day. Food manufacturers use the term sensory specific satiety. Sensory specific, so they're appealing specifically to certain sensors, right, in the body. Sensory specific satiety to describe the phenomenon in which pleasure derived from a known food declines in comparison with more novel flavors. Sugar, fat, and salt also activate regions in our brains associated with desire and reward. Food manufacturers know this, and they're constantly creating complex flavors and textures that are specifically and expressly designed to be irresistible. And this article is actually back from like 2015. So this was already going on. It's been going on since the 70s, I think, but it's been mastered, in the last decade. And you can imagine how far we've come in 5 more years, but still all totally valid. Our cravings for these fake flavors become part of a seemingly endless cycle. Eating too many refined carbs and sugars, for example, can cause a spike in blood sugar levels called postprandial hyperglycemia. It's a quick rush and subsequent drop of insulin that leaves you feeling sluggish afterwards, yet still strangely hungry. We all know the nightmare of that. You're still hungry because you didn't get any fiber and there was no food content in that food-like product. I so know that. I told you guys, I'd eat 10,000 calories in a day and a half hour later I'd have amnesia saying, where am I? Where am I? Oh my gosh, forgive me. You know when I'm overtired, I get giggly, but I cannot afford to restart. So bear with me. I'm going to try not to be too giggly. But yeah, where I suddenly slipped a brain cell and could not remember that I just consumed 10,000 calories. And somehow my stomach didn't know either. I literally would just override my system and eat more. Not even kidding you. They should study me. I'm probably like a freak of nature. They need to study me. Okay. Studies further suggest that foods loaded with trans fats promote excretion of the stress hormone cortisol, which stimulates appetite, driving you to eat even more calorie-dense foods. So true. The food industry has been clever to tap into mechanisms that are already present in our systems for good reasons. Rather than beat yourself up because you crave your favorite boxed mac and cheese or toaster pastry, remember that our desire for satisfying foods is just part of human nature. Eating has as much to do with nutrition as sex has to do with procreation. We eat for one reason, because we love the way food tastes. The good news is that you can consciously reprogram your palate in the service of your health. These 6 strategies can help you reawaken your body's built-in nutritional wisdom and your taste buds. And my friends, I'm going to leave you wanting, because I'm not going to share those 6 strategies until tomorrow. So, but Jules, I want to get on it. I need to be well tonight. Wait, what? Don't make me wait. Hey, that's the beauty of it. I need you to come back. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Like if you like, join us if you haven't. And until we talk again, know that my mouth is still killing me. And that when I looked up, what was the word? Masochist. So yeah, I was like, what was masochist again? I looked it up. And you know dictionaries, how sometimes they'll like have parentheses and it'll say see another reference? I kid you not. It said, see JulesBlessedVegan. It's just like, word. How did I do this, people? They need to help me. And my guy's not nice. Like, you know how you could be bratty and then someone will just pay you $5,600 and then disappear for the whole year and a half? That's kind of what he wants me to do. But I paid too much. And they're going to have to figure out a way to not be hurting me that bad. Seriously. All right. Thanks for listening. And until we talk again, best of all, know that you need to pray for the fires. Pray for my mouth, that I pray for you, and that you're blessed.